from St. Louis Public Radio. This is the Politically Speaking Hour on St. Louis on the Air. I'm Jason Rosenbaum. Melissa Price Smith took over as St. Louis County's prosecutor after Wesley Bell resigned to become Missouri's 1st District Congressman. And to put it mildly, her trajectory to this vital post was anything but smooth. After Bell resigned, St. Louis County Executive Sam Page announced a process to appoint a Democratic replacement, pointing to language in the county's charter. But GOP Governor Mike Parson asserted he had the right to choose Bell's replacement. And Parson wanted to pick Price Smith, who'd spent years working in different parts of the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office. And after a circuit court judge and the state's Eastern District Court of Appeals ruled that Parson did have the power to fill the vacancy, Price Smith took her oath of office earlier this month. She spoke last week with STLPR's Rachel Lippmann and me about the political controversy surrounding her appointment and how she plans to make changes in the vital office.
So, Melissa, you've been with the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office for more than 20 years. Why was now, in 2024 and 2025, the time to go for the top job?
Well, actually, I have never aspired for any type of public office. I've been in this office since 2008. I love this office. I've grown up here. I've done almost every area of the office, including low-level misdemeanors, robberies, burglaries, homicide, guns and drugs, and for the last several years, sexual assault, child abuse. But when Wesley Bell won the primary and we realized he was leaving, I realized that there was a need. There was a place for me I realized the office needed a prosecutor to run it. And I can't tell you enough how much it meant the support of my colleagues, the other prosecutors, victim advocates, investigators, support staff, who were so supportive of me stepping up as a prosecutor to run this office. So it was really just seeing the need and stepping up.
There was a lot of uncertainty about who was actually going to appoint the prosecutor. Obviously, with the court decision, it ended up being the governor. How did you prepare to take on this extremely important job, given all the uncertainty about whether you'd get it or not?
Well, that is quite true. It actually did seem to change every single day. So all I was able to do was stay focused on what I wanted to do. And basically, I don't even like to say what we wanted to do, my colleagues and I, to make this office stronger. I believed all along that the governor did have the power to appoint. However, it went to the state court, it went to the Court of Appeals, and like I said, every day seemed to be a different answer. However, I trusted in the legal process. I've made a career of trusting in the legal process. And they agreed that it was the governor's appointment to make. I do believe Dr. Page I don't think he was rejecting me personally. I think he was really trying to just preserve his power of appointment. And now that the appointment has been made, I really just want to focus on this office. And I intend to work closely with the council and with Dr. Page and cooperate, and we can put all of that circus leading up to this behind us.
What did you make a big change on day one?
Well, on one of the things I had spoken about prior to being sworn in was we needed to get a violent crime unit up and running. And I will tell you, we got that in place on Friday, which was the afternoon that I was sworn in. In a county the size of St. Louis County, we need a strong, dedicated violent crime unit. We already have a sexual assault, child abuse unit, and a DV unit. So this violent crime unit will specialize in violent crimes and give these types of crimes their full attention. Within a couple weeks, we will also have a dedicated homicide unit in place too.
How would you describe your prosecutorial philosophy? And I ask that question because sort of in the political realm of elected prosecutors, people are considered like tough on crime or reform or liberal. Those really don't describe philosophical ideas about prosecution. So I'd like you to actually define yourself rather than just be put under a generic label like I just mentioned?
Yeah. I was hired by Bob McCullough. I worked under him for about 10, 11 years, worked for Wesley Bell for 6 years. I have learned from both of them, and I intend to take things I've learned from both. I intend to be tough on crime. However, I also feel very strongly about each case needs to be looked at on an individual case-by-case basis. We have incredible program run by Danielle Smith, our treatment courts. Now, treatment courts are, first of all, they're an integral part of the system, and I intend not only to keep those programs, but to expand on them. They help first-time nonviolent offenders to get the help they need, to get a second chance, to avoid a criminal record, and really to change the whole trajectory of their lives. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If there were drug courts 40 years ago, my brother might still be with us today. It is a very important part of our system. But so I see that side of it, and I want to not only expand that, but keep that going. But I also want an office that is tough on crime and that holds violent offenders accountable, and that gives victims a voice and helps victims to find justice.
So, a prosecutor in an office the size of St. Louis County certainly sets the tone for how they want to see cases handled, but it is kind of managing a mid-sized law firm at its heart. So, we've asked about your prosecutorial philosophy. How would you explain your management philosophy?
Well, I am happy to say that the people in this office I have worked with for years. So I know them, I know their personalities, and I also know I have stressed to everyone in the office how important their voices are, excuse me. And there is so much strength in this office, and everyone will have a role. I think one of the important things, though, about somebody in a position like mine is knowing what you don't know. I'm a career prosecutor. I'm not going to come in here and say I've run a huge business or a big law firm. But the important thing is that I surround myself with the right people and the people who do have those skills. And that's what I'm in the process of doing and intend to do to make my team strong. So for the areas that I don't have a strength, I'll have people who do that.
You had mentioned elsewhere that you think crime in St. Louis County is, quote, astronomical. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Well, I think I don't have data, but I will tell you, we have about 50 attorneys, that's not an exact number, prosecutors in our office. Everyone carries a caseload of 150 plus, some 200 plus, pending cases at all times. In addition to that, we have hundreds of cases that haven't even been reviewed yet. So, as a St. Louis County resident, as a mother, as a citizen of St. Louis County, I want crime to be lower. I want there to be less crime. Like I said, I'm not here to share data, which I will be, as time goes on. But right now, we need to get a hold on crime, especially violent crime.
In 2017, St. Louis County voters approved a half-cent sales tax hike to enhance public safety. I believe the prosecutor's office received some of that money. Backers at the time contended this money would be transformative toward fighting crime. Does the fact that you describe the crime rate as astronomical, is that an acknowledgement that strategy that was put forth in 2017 hasn't worked?
That's not an acknowledgement or comment on that at all. I am just saying I think crime is too high in St. Louis County. That's it. It's not an acknowledgement or a criticism of anything not working. I just think we need a more efficient, stronger prosecutor's office. We need to work in partnership with law enforcement to lower crime. I think any resident of St. Louis County would say it's definitely higher than we're all comfortable with.
You have indicated that you support an investigation from the state auditor's office into the prosecutor's office. Does that indicate you think there might be some kind of wrongdoing or perhaps mismanagement by your predecessor?
I'm not saying that at all. However, I thanked Councilman Harder for bringing forth that resolution. When I was questioned by the county council a few weeks ago, I had actually also suggested that. It's not a criticism or an accusation of anything or anyone. However, I think an investigation by the state auditor is very important into the budget, into the finances, into compliance with sunshine requests. As a person taking over the office, it gives me a clear picture of what's been going on. It also, in order for me to have all of this information, will allow me to be transparent with the public. And I think that's really, really important to know what's been going on, to put my arms around it so I can make changes and make this office more efficient.
I want to take a few minutes right now to talk a little bit about Melissa Price Smith, the person. We've talked about you as a prosecutor. I did read that your parents were owners of a Playboy club, and you and your sister were professional dancers with Siegfried and Roy. How did you go from that background to being in the courtroom and prosecuting some incredibly difficult cases?
Well, I think that's the normal pathway to law school that everyone takes. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we grew up, my sister and I grew up very, very close to our parents. My parents did run the St. Louis Playboy Club, which was an icon during that time. More recently, my parents, however, my dad passed away 2 years ago, they created and ran the Men's Group Against Cancer, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for cancer organizations in St. Louis. My mom has been the executive director of that organization for years. So they have been role models to us about being independent, being strong, and making positive changes. Yes, my sister and I grew up in a ballet company in St. Louis. We went on to dance on a cruise ship, and then we danced for Siegfried and Roy in Las Vegas. I wanted to make a difference, though. I always felt strongly that I wanted to be a prosecutor, in particular working with crime victims and helping them through their storm and helping them find justice on the other side and to be able to move on with their lives and flourish. But my parents have always been big supporters of independence and strength and chasing after what you want and making a difference.
You are the first woman to ever hold countywide office in St. Louis County's history. My impulse on that is to say, I can't believe I'm making that statement. But when you put nuance in it, for a long time, there were only 2 elected countywide positions. So you didn't have as many opportunities. But I would be interested to hear what that distinction and breaking that glass ceiling means for you.
You know, it means a lot to me. I have 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. I will tell you, though, when I was first appointed by the governor and the first time I actually heard it said, you are the first woman prosecutor of St. Louis County, first thing I thought about was my daughter. And it feels great. And I am so inspired by the strong women that are around me. And we all hold each other up, and I just hope I can help do that for others.
We've talked about the fact that you have a sister, but we haven't mentioned that she is a twin. And to the point where photographers that you're swearing in were doing double takes and going, wait, who is... Have you ever used that to mess with people or get up to other shenanigans, try and convince somebody that you were the other sister?
We are identical. We're 20 minutes apart. I'm the older sister. We don't have to mess with people because it just happens naturally. Because, well, she was in this office about 25 years. She just left a few months ago. So in court, in the office, people were always confused. There are some people who immediately can tell us apart. Other people for years cannot. But she's my twin soul. I will say she's the best trial lawyer I've ever seen. I've learned from her as a prosecutor and, more importantly, as a person. We hold each other up. We keep each other brave. We challenge each other, but we're not competitive with each other.
There's a serious side to this, too, though. As you mentioned, your sister she's left the prosecutor's office, but she's a litigator. People get you confused all the time. Are there security or safety implications there for your sister? You know, you have someone who isn't happy with the decision that you've made and gets your sister confused for you.
I will tell you, that has been brought up to me a lot in the last 24 hours. I have never, thought about security, anything like that, but I suddenly, as I'm asked about that in the office, I suddenly find myself thinking about my sister, thinking, wait a minute, if I do, she and I share a face. So it's actually a pretty new topic for me.
1 year from now, how will you measure whether you've been successful in this job?
I will be able to measure how I've been successful in this job because we will have a more efficient office. We will have stronger teams in the office, stronger attorneys, because I intend to have a stronger training process. In addition, our partnership with law enforcement, I intend for it to be stronger, and I am certain it will be stronger. In addition, I want our partnership with the community to be stronger. I want to make sure that people trust our office. Our partnership with defense attorneys, with the judiciary, all of those things need to be strengthened because that's the way the justice system works, and those are my goals.
I know you've been in office barely a week now, but do you have plans for 2026 to seek a full term?
Yes, I've only been in office a couple days, but yes, I absolutely plan on running at the next election. As I've said to many people, I'm a prosecutor, I'm not a politician, but I absolutely intend to run, and I intend to win because I think St. Louis County wants a prosecutor leading this office. I don't think they need another politician.
That was St. Louis County Prosecutor Melissa Price Smith talking with STLPR's Rachel Lippmann and me about her first few days on the job.
Today's episode was produced and engineered by Rachel Lippmann and Jason Rosenbaum, with editing by our executive producer, Alex Hoyer.
Podcast design by Aaron Dorr.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
The Gateway brings you the day's news each weekday from around the St. Louis region and the state capitals in Jefferson City.
Our schools are accredited. We don't need this bill.
And Springfield.
How many more years must pass before lawmakers see time is of the essence?
I'm Abby Larico. Join me each weekday for The Gateway on the STLPR app or wherever you get podcasts.